Most absurd EP situation I've personally encountered. My husband and I look to hire a local husband and wife small business to clean and do maintenance projects on our house before our baby comes in a few weeks. They came by tonight to take a look at the projects and surprise. Brought their 3 elementary-age children. No biggie, I thought, not ideal, but I like children and like the idea of our home being a welcoming place for them. We'll let it go. We opened the door and the children scattered, all 3 took off screaming in different directions with their shoes on. One ended up in my bedroom and 2 on different ends of the living room where they all 3 started pulling my daughter's carefully organized orderly toys off the shelves at an extremely rapid pace. Well, they sure made themselves at home, the mom beamed. They sure love your house. I tried to orient the parents quickly so they would leave ASAP, and the oldest child noticed our loft, which is our playroom library and is also carefully organized and decorated with love with various handcrafted elements, and they all raced upstairs. We have 4 kids of our own, but manage to mostly keep things orderly. Each toy has a place, we have some small and breakable pieces from my and my husband's childhood, and all the books are shelved alphabetically in categories. All 3 children started shrieking at the sight of the room. I was trying to wrap up the discussion with the mom. Then the stomping started and the clanging. Sounded like jumping off furniture. I paused for the mom to say something, but she didn't even bat an eyelash. Then came a crash that could only have been furniture falling over. Mom again didn't so much as comment. My husband ran upstairs, alarmed. The youngest one, 4 maybe, then raced down needing to go potty urgently. 3 of our 4 bathrooms need service, which is why we were hiring these people, so the only bathroom available was our master bath. Where we have chicks in an incubator. As I showed the child where to go, she got distracted by the chicks and screamed to the older kids upstairs to come and see now, so the older 2 came barreling and yelling, shoes on, through my bedroom and bathroom, and the small one didn't quite make it to the toilet in the excitement. This all happened in the like 15 minutes. I thought we'd be quickly introducing the adult contractors to the project's negotiating pay. This was bizarre and horrible, I thought, but we'll just have them do the job tomorrow and not work with them again. But then 2 of the kids started to tantrum when it was time for them to leave, notably without putting away a single toy they had disassembled and strewn about. Mom says, "It's okay. We'll be back so you can play more with them tomorrow." What the hell? She was expecting to bring the children and leave them unsupervised in my home, or maybe she expected me to provide childcare while she performed tasks clearly unsafe for children in closed-off rooms for 7 hours. Of course, we are canceling. I'm almost too shocked to even be upset. I just checked upstairs and found a shelf of books partially toppled. Every toy in the living room is in pieces on the floor. Pee is not in the toilet. It happened so fast. I just can't. What? I would be so livid. Oh my god. Did you say anything to these people after about why you're canceling? They need to know. OP. God, I'm going to get re-aimed for it here I bet, but I am so non-confrontational. Especially in such a wildly unexpected situation unfolding so rapidly, I just freeze. I didn't say anything to them. I get being caught off guard and have difficulty interjecting when parents do nothing I do. And I won't ream you. I'm gonna gently encourage you to work on confrontation. This is a skill you're going to need. Sometimes we have to advocate for our health, for our safety, and for our kids. Being relaxed is fine, avoidance is another. You and your partner are going to need to find your voice because, with 4, coming up 5 kids, you'll need it. If we cannot confront, we will not have good boundaries. With all the care in the world, please get some help to work on this. I've struggled too, and it can cost you and the people you love a lot if you don't practice this skill. Good luck, sorry you had a cruddy experience and safe delivery. And if you found them on Angie's list and leave a review, I'm sure you'd say you didn't hire them. So then the review isn't made public and is just sent as feedback to the vendor. Yikes. Glad you are canceling. Hope you tell them exactly why you are canceling. None of that experience was normal for a business transaction. My father passed away last week following an accident. He had set up a college education fund for each of his grandchildren. I have an older sister and a younger sister. The younger sister has an addiction problem that she refuses to get help for, even though she has had many generous offers to pay for rehab and pay her ongoing expenses while in rehab. More than 5 years ago, her son no longer wanted to live with her because of her addictions, so her ex got custody. She has not visited her son since then, even though she has visitation rights. Because of this and several other times when she refused to take responsibility for her actions, just about the entire family went no contact with her 5 years ago. Only one cousin was still in contact with her, but she cut contact in early 2022. Our aunt, Dad's sister, felt younger sister should know about Dad's passing, so she did contact her with the news and information about the funeral service. The younger sister only wanted to know about what will happen with her son's college education fund and whether would she have access to the fund. Her son still has another year of high school left. My older sister did contact my younger sister's ex because she felt our nephew had the right to know about his grandfather's passing and had the opportunity to attend the funeral service. The ex said he would bring our nephew to the funeral, but then he wanted to know about the college education fund and if he would be getting access to it. I am the person in charge of all of the remaining education funds, and I can't even access them yet. But the trust is set up so that I am only able to make distributions to the college, university, or vocational school. The grandchildren must first be enrolled in the school, and then the funds go directly into an account at the school to cover tuition, fees and books, and possibly housing if they live on campus. After this was explained to my younger sister and to her ex, the conversations quickly ended. Neither my younger sister nor her son attended Dad's funeral service. Also, the ex told the older sister that our nephew will be on academic probation when he starts his last year of high school. Good thing the educational funds are also able to pay for vocational school training. I think we all know what little sis wanted the money for. Your dad was quite smart in how he set up the trust. Sorry for your loss. Glad the funds are in your control, and you may also need to make sure any refunds go back to the fund. Kids have been known to drop out and get the money. I am sad for the nephew. Seems like he could have used more exposure to your father. Lil sis didn't make that possible though. My family had been a fan of the Jurassic movies since the first one came out, and when this latest one was in the movie theater, we all stood in line for hours to get the last session after my dad left work. Mind you, that was around 10 p.m. on a Thursday. The movie was awesome, I really felt like a happy nerd. But the shock came as we were leaving the theater and a boy, around 7-8 years old, approached my dad asking for a ride back home. Again, I have to explicitly put that the movie started at 11:30 p.m. and ended at almost 2 a.m. The kid gave my dad an address in a paper, and my dad was half worried that it was some kind of fraud and half terrified that someone would actually abandon a child like that. But the little boy explained that his dad gave him money for the ticket and dropped him at the mall with no extra money for a cab, only the address and the instruction to look for a ride from a family, not just an adult, for safety. My dad didn't want to risk his daughters with any possible danger and deeply considered calling the cops, but it was 2 a.m. and there was almost no life in sight. The cops usually take hours to show up where we live, and he had work the next day, so he decided to give the kid a ride. He told us how he really liked movies and rarely got a chance to see any, so when he did, it was usually by himself. My dad had a few choice words for his parents when we got to his house, but they were already asleep. The kid just walked in, locked the door, and waved us by from the window as we left speechless. I know this could be his financial situation, but this is no excuse to leave your child alone like that. It was too late and too crowded for a little boy to walk around asking strangers to give him a ride. I to this day can't understand how his parents would sleep when they can't be sure if their child is coming back. I think it's important to say that the mall is close to a federal prison where the worst of the worst are kept, and my parents felt uneasy even in our own house in that city. Please be mindful of your children and even other children you see around. Because some people are just not. Dude. Your dad absolutely should have called the cops. For one, CPS would have been called. I'm sure there are other things going on in that house that need to be addressed to help that child. 2. If that had been the wrong address or this kid was making up a story and was a runaway or something, your dad could have been charged with kidnapping. All around, when it comes to something with kids, you have to get authorities involved to protect the kids. OP. Looking back now, I absolutely agree. But my dad mostly just wanted to make sure he got home safe. You did not mention how long back this happened. But your dad should have called the police and even mentioned this to the movie theater crew or manager to make them aware that a young child was being left for a movie and asking for people to take him home. The parents of the poor kid have committed several kinds of things that would get this kid taken from them. 1. Child endangerment. 2. Abandonment. 3. Neglect, just to name a few for starters. It makes me upset that anyone thinks they can do things like things to the kids that they have. Anything could have happened. Kidnapping, getting lost, being picked up by a murderer, being sold into black market slavery, exploited in many ways, just to name a few. If I had been your dad, I would not have just dropped the kid at the door. I would have banged on the door until someone came to answer and then given them a piece of my mind on it. Then I would have called in a report for child abuse or neglect and provided them the address of the home. OP. You're absolutely right, this should never happen to the kid again. Maybe because it was too late he didn't get how deep that went just then, but yeah, I was all for calling the cops.